This is Tommy Conwell from Tommy Conwell and the Young Rumblers from the 80s, and you're listening to the iWalter Show.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yeah, it's Walter from iWalter. And yes, it is me on October 31st. It's hard to believe it's the last day of the month. And believe it or not, on Tuesday, it will be a precisely 1 week until we vote on a new president for our country for the next 4 years. And we won't know, obviously, but it'll be a week from Tuesday. And then from that, it'll be a week from Wednesday that we're actually know. So everybody has kind of been, antsy about that. I read something somewhere. I should have pulled that up. I'm not going to look for it now. Where some poor homeless black woman actually, it's not even funny, but she actually got beaten up by a bunch of Hillary supporters for some reason, because she apparently was supporting Trump. So that was a no-no in their book, so they decided to beat the crap out of her. And this was in California, I think. So someone was able to actually, this poor homeless woman, they were able to track her down, and I guess there was some article about that. So, today I'm actually going to take off of work so I can do something. Now, I had nothing planned. I actually did go, and I mentioned to a friend or so about what I did. I actually bought this rather expensive ticket for Dorney Park, because I've done different haunted houses over the years. I've done different things, at least for Halloween. Because Halloween's the one time a year. October's my favorite month, and Halloween's actually my favorite holiday anymore. It used to be Christmas when I was a little kid. When you get older, it seems like more and more adults kind of wean towards Halloween, because that's more for adults just as well as kids. Now, I don't drink. That's the big thing. It's a big drinking thing for most people. They dress up in costumes and they get sloshed. Well, I've never drank, so that's one thing that's out of my jurisdiction, whatever. I don't know. I just don't drink. So anyway, I try to look for something that kind of explains exactly what Halloween is, and I kind of did a really quick job. So what I came up with is it's basically a celebration observed in a number of countries on October 31st, the eve of Western Christian fest of All Hallows Day. It begins the 3-day observation. I can't pronounce All Hallow Tide. Never even heard of it. The time in the liturgical, whatever year dedicated to remembering the dead, including Saints Hallow, Martyrs, and the faithful departed. Now, I know it's like the whole gist of Halloween is why you dress up is that's like when the curtain, so to speak, between the living and the dead comes down, that the dead can actually roam on Earth, I think. So the purpose of dressing up in costumes was to confuse those evil spirits or just the dead from the living. They would be a way of, I guess, confusing them. That's the way I always understood it. Maybe there's a better explanation than the one I'm not given. But bottom line, it's just a fun holiday all the way around. It always has been for me since I was definitely a little kid. I was trying to look for one that would actually kind of give you just a gist. Trick-or-treating, what does it say? Trick-or-treating guys and trick-or-treating is a customary celebration for children on Halloween. Children go in costumes from house to house asking for treats and candy. Well, that's something I wanted to have actually a better explanation than that one. One I actually was going to use, it's, I think it was actually from the History Channel. Yeah, it was from historychannel.com. It says, straddling the line between fall and winter, plenty and paucity or something, life and death. Halloween is a time of celebrating, and superstition is thought to have originated with ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off roaming ghosts. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as the time to honor all saints and martyrs. The holiday All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. That's funny, actually. Not really, but it is kind of funny. That reminds me that then on Tuesday, which is November 1st, is my parents' anniversary date, too, which I totally forgot about. I was too busy thinking about myself again. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and later Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a secular, community-based event characterized by child-friendly activities such as trick-or-treating in a number of countries around the world. As the days grow shorter and the nights get colder, people continue to usher winter season with gatherings, costumes, and sweet treats. Now, that's kind of funny, though, because this year, it goes in, like, if you look at the one from the History Channel, they actually go into more. It says ancient origins of Halloween, and then some other stuff. Halloween comes to America. Today's Halloween traditions, Halloween superstitions. Probably that's what I should have. But I'm not going to read all that stuff, all that jazz. Now, I did, like, again, I wanted to do something this year, and unfortunately, I was hoping, like, in case everything else would fail, I'll try to get something set up for a weekend night, which I did. I actually went up to Dorney Park. I just want to take a quick look, folks, and see what this says on ancient origins of Halloween. Halloween's origins are what is it? Origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced It looks like Samhain, but it's actually pronounced according to the way they tell you how you're supposed to pronounce it. So I apologize. Looks like in. The Celts who lived 2,000 years ago in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France celebrated their New Year on November 1st. The day marked the end of the summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. This is what I was kind of trying to say. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated when it was believed that the ghost of the dead returned to Earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For people entirely dependent on the vital natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort and direction during the long, dark winter. Well, you know what, though? I'm sorry for misreading it, but you can find it. Maybe I will try to put this right now on my iWalter Facebook account, because this would be actually directed towards that anyway, more so than just, my regular Facebook page. So let me do this right now so I won't forget. And that way people can just... Now, there is a separate page for that, by the way. So just to let you know. I can put it on both, but I'm going to need to train myself to separate my personal stuff from what I discuss on my shows. So, yeah, I was trying to figure out, hey, okay, what am I going to do for Halloween? So I went up to Dorney Park. I bought the ticket during the week. A woman I work with actually gave me the idea. She has a season pass for her husband and her granddaughter. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is actually not a bad idea. It's something different. I'll just go to Dorney Park because, you know, for some reason I like being scared in one way and one sense of the word. And then in another sense of the word, I can't stand it because when I bought this pass, this season pass, or this thing for Dorney Park, I decided that, hey, you know, they have this thing that you do these different haunted houses, so to speak, which some of them were only like less than 30 seconds. You walked in, they just kind of say something to you. The guys or gals are dressed up in costumes, which are pretty cool. But they're all like younger kids. Some are older people. Some are a little bit like fun to talk to. Some were being a little bit. Some of the gals were being, well, there was like two that were being a little obnoxious. But I kind of rolled it off. It was the end of the night because I got up there around 6, folks, and then I didn't get back home. Well, I didn't get done. I shouldn't say when I got back home. When I got done, believe it or not, it was around 12 o'clock. It was midnight. It was a little after midnight, in fact, when I actually left because I waited for other people to leave. But so it was technically everything was closing at 12, even though it kind of ran past their curfew time or when they said they were going to close. Now, the funny thing is about Dorney Park, I've noticed, I told this one friend, that it seems like there was a part, I hit a good time, by the way, when I went up at 6 o'clock. It was the in-between time from, you know, the parents who bring their really small tykes there. You know, kids that are probably really, really tiny, you know, have to go to bed at, you know, even on the weekends because they're so small, they're probably in bed by like 6 o'clock or 7 or 5 o'clock, whatever. You know, I'm just guessing, but it seems like it would happen. And, yeah, so, you know, I got there at 6, so I was in between the 5 crowd and the 7 crowd, the 7 o'clock crowd, 7 p.m., where the 7 o'clock crowd were going to be the ones that are there for the night, you know, from 7 to, I thought it was 11, but I misread it. It was like until midnight for all the haunted stuff. Because, you know, little kids, anything's going to scare them. I mean, I'm one of these kids, people that it's a grown adult and still gets, on some things I get just as scared as a little kid will. So I bought this thing where you pay an extra $11 and you get, you know, it says, hey, don't scare me. But you have to like turn on this. It's like a little ghost, a little plastic ghost you wear on a necklace. And you wear it around your neck, but then you're supposed to turn it on. It's got a light in there. And even the string lights up. It's got 2 different lights. And you're supposed to turn it on so they know not to scare you. Well, during the course of the night, I never bothered to turn it on. So that was a waste right there. 2, it was a bunch of like younger people. And they got this. I've noticed since when I first started, how much these haunted attractions have really changed an awful lot. They started out where they could touch you and kind of like, you know, not hard, it's tap at you or something. And I guess over the years that I've gone, that stopped. Like, they can't even tap you. That's even prohibited. So it's kind of like beyond watered down. They can't scare you because some of the haunted houses I did in the past, they used to do that. But then they stopped. And, you know, like literally. I mean, I guess with all this, I hate to say it, and that's kind of bad too. Political correctness, it's just like, hey, you're not allowed to touch the actors aren't allowed to touch you, they can't even come in within, even if they have permission, even that's still prohibited for them to touch you or you to touch them. I mean, it's gotten kind of like a little bit like crazy almost. So bottom line is, being scared is not that easy. I get more scared from TV shows anymore than I will from these haunted attractions, unfortunately. And they used to be really good, though, but now I guess they're not. I mean, again, you're talking about somebody who just jumps at anything. Because I might have mentioned I jumped when I was watching American Horror Story for a couple of weeks lately. The last couple of weeks. That's not the case there. And I guess what gets stuck in my mind is like watching these horror movies at home where you're just watching it, or TV shows, and I get so freaking frightened that I'm like screaming out on the top of my lungs. I figured, like, well, if you have somebody even just tapping you, that's going to like freak me out. Well, guess what? They're not allowed to do that anymore. So it's not going to happen. And the other thing that stuck in the back of my mind, by the way, was like I remember I really wanted to do this, though, and I never have. But I actually really wanted to even check out, like, I thought they claimed, but it was actually incorrect. They claimed that they had like this zombie tour thing or something at Dorney Park. So I was thinking, okay, well, they have the zombie thing, because I know they have these tours someplace you can go, and they actually have like what is it, like paintball or whatever thing or something like that. I'm not even using the correct word, where you can actually, go on like a zombie hunt or something like that, where they got actors who are dressed up like zombies and they come after you and the whole shebang. And it's like, okay, that would probably really freak me out, because the makeup on some of these actors who dress up in these zombie costumes with the tons of makeup and stuff, some of them actually will probably make me piss my pants. And that's what I was expecting, though. That's why I went for the whole shebang. It was like, one, I'll take everything they can offer me. It was $100. Plus, I got the ghost thing, that thing, or don't be scared thing, where you wear a little necklace with a ghost, was an extra like $11. Like, yeah, I better throw it in, 'cause I don't want to take the risk of getting, scared shitless and just made a fool of myself. Because that's the thing. Or, yeah, at this space, I'm afraid to make a fool of myself. Well, I did, because I bought that ticket. It was a waste of money. So, and then on top of it, I think that was part of the plan. I haven't checked it since I, went just on Saturday. But then on top of it, I had this meal plan, which I couldn't find out where it was, which basically all it was a tent at Dorney Park, which they didn't have any specific locations or maps how to get there for any of the events, for one thing. That was problem number one. So I literally spent from around 7 o'clock when I got there a little bit beforehand, but from 7 o'clock until midnight, and made it by the skin of my teeth to the very last event, which only was like 30 seconds. It wasn't even worth the aggravation I had to go through. So what is that? From 7 until 12, that was 5 hours of nonstop just walking around. Then always having to use the bathroom. I didn't eat for almost a couple hours, so I ended up getting a really bad headache, folks. But nothing was mapped out. Nothing was mapped out. And the maps they did kind of have around the amusement park weren't even that great. They didn't really give you specifically or tell you specifically where you needed to go. So the whole thing, that part really just bothered me. I've noticed over the years that, especially there, they had different attractions. They were all supposed to be haunted houses, but different types. But they were all pretty much exactly the same. There wasn't much difference between them, minus that they had different people in these things that were these haunted attractions. That was the only difference. Otherwise, they were all pretty much the same. So, and they were all pretty, I hate to say this, I don't mean to sound mean, but they were pretty lame. So it was fun, though. It was Halloween. That was the main reason I went. That part was fun because I wanted to get out, wanted to do something and say, hey, I did something for Halloween. Well, I did something. Of course, it cost me, a good chunk of change, $100, and a lot of extra. The other thing that was actually really good, I have this thing that tracks how many miles I walk. Well, believe it or not, in that 5 hours, I walked about, I would say, because it cuts off at midnight and it resets itself. So it only goes for intervals or times of 24 hours. Well, I'm saying only because sometimes I can actually, if I work a midnight shift, I can start putting on hours then and then finish them out like before midnight the next day. So I've done that before, and I've put on a lot. But what I've done on a normal day of working, third shift at work, working until wee hours in the morning, getting like 3 hours of sleep, then going home for a couple hours, going back to work, and basically only getting, what can I say? I would say maybe like 4 hours of sleep. Well, guess what? I put on like maybe 12 miles or something like that. Something crazy, like 12 or 15 miles. But in that 5 hours, for all the walking around I had to do, nonstop walking around, trying to find my way around Dorney Park, I put on 12 miles in that 5 hours. And that's including when I finally sat down and got something to eat. Because that was a nightmare. Literally, it was a nightmare. I had walked and walked and walked and walked. And then finally, it got to the point, okay, I got to get some, because I actually, it was crazy, folks. I spent, I think it was like $10. Yeah, it was $10 for like one of those travel packs of aspirins, because I had a sinus headache, actually. But it was so bad, so severe, that it was like, you know what? I will pay the $10 for those aspirin. It wasn't just aspirins, but it was a bottle of water. So you're saying $5 for what? Water, and then $5 for the aspirin. So there was like 4 in there. And I had actually, before I got home, I had all 4 of them taken. Because I was just, what do you call it? I was just that, like, my sinuses were all acting up. My head was pounding. I was walking around. I didn't eat. I met up actually with a friend and coworker at work, and I met her husband, who was a very nice man, decent-looking guy, very nice guy, and her granddaughter, which she talks about both of them all the time. And the kid was very pleasant. I was really glad to meet both of them. They were very pleasant to meet. Can't say anything bad about them. I was just like, wow, I can actually put a face now to these stories you tell me about these your husband and your granddaughter, because, she loves both of them to death. So to physically actually see them now was just like, it was kind of blew my mind. It was like, wow, you hear these stories about these people, but then you actually physically see them. It's a whole different thing. But unfortunately, it was like, it's not a very big park either. I've noticed that Dorney Park is not that big. And, sorry about that. That was me. Didn't mean to scare anybody. I hope I didn't. Wow, that's kind of got that echo sound that you get from a tuning fork, whatever you call it. I call it a tuning fork. It's probably not the right name. So, so I met up with my one friend and coworker for a little bit, and then we kind of lost our ways. I found her again for a little bit, but then I lost her again. So it was kind of really difficult because it was so crowded, folks. Like, I don't know. Again, I started mentioning this, but so many people, like, just basically they pulled up. Like, that was another thing I have to mention. When I got there, already a half an hour. I can't believe that. When I got there, there was like all these parking spots, like right smack up front. I was like, how do I get a parking spot for tonight way up front? It was because I got, once again, between the very busy time and like when people I got right before the busy time. Yeah, the very busy time. And then also, it was like it was in the in-between time between, the parents who were like, okay, we got to take our kids home, take them to bed, and the ones who were just coming in, just barely coming in, that were dropping their teenage daughters off. There was a ton of teenage daughters there with their friends and their boyfriends, but it was a lot of girls. It was like 99% girls, young kids, but they were all being dropped off. So I was wondering, like, I seen people pull up and they were letting all their kids out, and they just basically they dropped them off for the whole entire day, or night, I should say, because this started at 7. So yeah, they basically dropped them off around 6:30 or whatever. It didn't start until 7. I was just getting there. I was like, okay, this is too good to be true, because it doesn't say I can't park here, but I was like literally could have got a spot dead on next to the to the gate. Did you go in? And I was ready to park there, folks, but then I thought about it. I was like, well, maybe I better not. I might get a ticket. So I called the one friend from work, and she said, oh, I'm coming in another hour or so. Like, she came when everybody else started coming in. She said the parking wasn't as easy as what I was explaining to her. And I asked her, I said, okay, is it all right, like, to park, like, right up front near the gate? Because, the way I thought it was, I paid for, that's another thing I wasted money on. I paid for parking, but now I'm kind of figuring out, you know what, this was kind of a waste of money, because I didn't know I was going to get there that early. I mean, it's just security, too. I could have got but the reserved parking that I paid for was worse, much worse than what I had gotten as a parking spot. And it could have been better yet. Again, I could have got one right next to the gate. It was like, wow, why is this like too? Well, how come this is too good to be true? And it was, because I came out. My biggest fear did not come true. My biggest fear was, okay, I park all the way near the front, I'm going to get a ticket. I know I'll get a ticket. I came out. I thank God I didn't worry about it all night. I came out, though, did not get a ticket. So it was like perfect. And again, I was so close to having like the very first parking spot right next to the gate. Couldn't get any better. Should have taken it, but I ended up parking, unfortunately, 5 parking spots down from the very first parking spot. So yeah, it wasn't anything like to cry about. It was like a matter of feet from what I originally parked. That was like the biggest thing, though, and that part wasn't bad. They actually had these smoke machines all night. I don't know if it was dry ice or it was just plain smoke machines. It's really difficult to tell. But whatever it was annoying a little bit after a while, because you could not see anything. Like, they made sure, and especially when it got towards closing time, not only did they shut off a majority of the lights in the park, but they also turned the smoke machines way the freak up, to the point that you really could not see anything. So you're like walking into people. I think a couple times I did bump into a few folks, because it was just, I could not walk. It was like, I can't see a thing. And so neither could other people. And then you got all these kids that are running around. Some were with their parents. Even the younger ones, that most of them did go home. There was a few that actually, they stuck around, and, little kids that probably it was way, way past their bedtime, but this is going to be like their last big thing. And there's a few kids dressed up, but not many, because the lady and friend and coworker I met there, she asked me, she said, oh, should I have my granddaughter or should I dress up? And I said no at first. Then I left a voicemail. I called her back, and it's like, well, actually, there is some people there that did dress up if you're interested still. I did not. I just wanted to kind of walk around. That was another thing, folks. I brought this really, really heavy, kind of like, I got it from Hollister or whatever it is. Hollister? And it's like, it was, I don't want to say, it was like some type of wool lining inside, kind of winter coat type thing. Like a winter sweater kind of thing with a hood. And I brought that along, and I figured, well, it's got to get really cold. I mean, this is too good to be true. It's like October 29th. It's got to get freaking cold. And unfortunately, it was like actually the opposite, was really warm. So that was kind of a nuisance, because You expect it to get really cold. And it did, like, towards the very end, it started getting a little bit chilly. Not cold, but it got chilly. But the majority of the night, I had a T-shirt on, my Friday the 13th T-shirt I had bought last year from, where was it at? Old Navy. And I really end up carrying it most of the night because I was just too hot to wear it. It was, like, way too warm. It was hotter than, I expected. Because I remember there was years ago that me and a friend of mine from college, we would, like, my friend Matt, we would go out trick-or-treating or just go out just dressed up a little bit or whatever. He would try to do something. I really didn't bother ever to dress up. I just felt too embarrassed. But it was so cold, and I even said to somebody at the park, I said, I thought like there was even one time where it snowed during Halloween, and this lady told me, she said, yeah, there was one year we had like a dust-in. I think it was at the park or somewhere else. Doesn't really matter, but somebody I was talking to, they said, yeah, it did snow one time. So we've had, generally, we either have snow. One time we had snow. We have it very cold. It's frigid. You go out like with layers of clothes on, and you either put your costume on top or you wear your costume underneath with layer of clothes, coats and sweaters on top. Never has it been that you could actually wear a pair of jeans and a T-shirt, almost pushing that you could actually wear a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. In the middle, like the end, actually, not even the middle, but the end of October? Are you serious? No, that's never happened. So there has been some type of adjustment in the climate, I guess, because my father just called my brother from North Carolina tonight. And he said, well, we're actually getting it colder. We're colder down in North Carolina, my brother said, than we are up here. So, I mean, that's kind of expected, You never know what kind of winter you're going to have. You can't, what do you call it? You can't judge temperatures of the weather within the past 100 years. You'd have to go much more on a longer thing. Even 1,000 years probably wouldn't be enough, because who knows how temperatures are going to change from year to year. I mean, it's really difficult to say. But I just know we're going through a time now where it's just kind of strange. I'm not what I'm used to growing up with. Because, like, when we grew up, it was like, winters were really bad and have gotten much, less aggressive. And, especially around this time of year with October, they were really never that. They were pretty bad. They were pretty cold and stuff. Now they're not that bad. I don't know. So, but I was at this thing last night, and I told a friend, I had to tell him, I said, this was kind of a disappointment, because I don't think, at first I thought I was never going to get everything done I had planned to do. Then I figured out, like, I could do everything. I actually did everything on this list that it told me that, that I paid for, minus the food thing. That was one thing I started mentioning. I'm sorry I did not finish. But I paid like $30 for this meal plan that includes, unlimited refills, and didn't include it. Food you can get fed every 12 hours or something like that. I forget. The woman explained it to me. She's gotten that before for her family that I work with. I was like, okay, this sounds like a pretty good deal. For $30, it doesn't sound like that bad of a deal at all. I'll do it. So the problem was I couldn't find where the location was where you get the food, and all it was hot dogs and stuff, basically stuff that probably cost them no more than pennies, and they charge you $30 a head. And that's per person. That's not just for a whole family. That's per person. So I was a single person, so I paid that $30 just myself. Imagine other people. And when I found this place you're supposed to go, the designated area to eat, it was way, way hidden. Like, you could not find it very easily. And again, it was ran by a bunch of young kids, and they were really nice. But the one kid basically even said, yeah, they don't put signs up. They need to, like, work on putting out signs and directions. They never bothered to do it before. They definitely didn't do it this time. So it had taken me almost most of that time between 6. Well, I started walking around 6:30. From 6:30 on to a little after midnight. It took me most of that time to figure out, okay, where is this like food beverage location that I paid for, where you get the unlimited, food and everything else. Well, by the time I found it, when I did find it, they said, oh, yeah, they were cleaning up, and they said, yeah, this is all over now. You missed the whole thing. I was like, okay, great. I just wasted $30 on something that I never even got to use. So, part of me wants to say, hey, can I get my money back? But honestly, they even say when you pay that money, it specifically says, like, they have this all planned out. Oh, by the way, there is no refund. If you don't make it even, like if you for some reason can't make it that day and you paid the money to go this, the $100 or whatever it was with tax, probably $130. Well, if you don't make it, hey, that's on you. There is no refund, so good luck. So at least I made it. At least I tried to find, the different events. I did all the ones except the thing with the food. That's the thing I lost my money on. So, but yeah, some of them were like, one was, it was funny. I wanted to even actually mention it specifically to my one friend, Matt, because it was kind of funny. It was this thing where they were like supposed to be ghost pirates or something like that. It was like one of the attractions. Hey, you're saving money. Otherwise, this would cost you $30. Well, that $30, if I would have paid that, I paid the flat rate, was no more than about a minute. Not even a minute. It was about a minute. So about a minute, yeah, I want to pay all that money for that short period of time. And what it was is the one girl was supposed to be like, I can't even think of the right word, but like some type of, a woman from that time period with the pirates and stuff. I don't know what you call them or would call her. And she said, oh, you need to come through this door with me right now. And this one particular event thing I, finally found. And then she gives me this spiel, and then this guy comes in, and he's supposed to be some type of pirate himself, or, a pirate, whatever you want to call him. Somebody from, like, you'd expect to see in, what is that? Those movies, Pirates of the Caribbean kind of style, that kind of look. Not so drastic, but something on that line. And even using those, like, kind of voices and stuff. So they went through a spiel, and they said, okay, you need to pick from these potion bottles. They have all these bottles laying out with different names. Well, here's the glitch why I wanted to tell my friend Matt. Two of the bottles, one was on the right. I didn't even take notice how they laid them out, but actually they had them, from the way I was facing, they had them incorrectly. But they had on the right-hand side of all these bottles with different names on there. The one bottle on the right-hand side had Hillary on there for Hillary Clinton, and it was for Hillary. So I looked at it and was like, wow, here's a potion bottle that says Hillary. And they said, you got to pick the bottle. If you pick the wrong one, you're going to have to drink some type of, which it wasn't. It tasted, it was supposed to be some type of alcohol, but they can't really, because you don't know you're going to get drinking that stuff. So it technically was not alcohol. I knew what it tasted like because I've had it before. It was basically, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. It was apple cider vinegar, which is really bitter. But I've drank it before because basically it's a good way to clean you out. If you want to get cleaned out once in a while, I think it's apple cider vinegar. That's what they generally tell you should drink. So pretty much they didn't know I had a potency for that. But yeah, the one side had Hillary Clinton on there, or Hillary, not Clinton, but it's Hillary. The other side, on the left, which would be, again, the opposite. They could have made it more punny. Not funny. Well, a pun in funny. They could have put, but they put on the left side was Trump. So, obviously, for people who have listened to me or who know me, I picked the one out of all these different potion bottles. I picked the one that said Trump. So they made me drink this stuff, which if you're not used to the taste of it, because I think they were trying to get me to choke on it, because they have that stuff all set up, like what they're going to give you. It's going to be probably like cider vinegar, or like I said, what they gave me, because I knew the taste right away. I knew it right off the bat because I've drank it before, and I basically have a tolerance level for it. Did I say apple cider vinegar, right? Yeah, apple cider vinegar is basically, it is. It's like a strong vinegar. So what I meant to say is, like, probably if I would have picked what they wanted me to pick on this little skit thing, they would have probably gave me apple juice. That's what I meant to say. Or apple cider, which is different from apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, again, is a very strong, smells definitely like vinegar, but it's made out of, apple cider, I think. Again, it's supposed to be good for you. So they gave you a small swig, and they said, oh, you picked the wrong cup or something like that. So they gave me this apple cider, not apple cider. They gave me apple cider vinegar, or whatever you call it. Again, I should know this because I've drank enough of it over the years. Because again, a small amount is supposed to be good for you, but it's supposed to dilute it in water. Me, I'll just drink it probably straight anyway. So I'm kind of used to that bitter taste. And I guess I kind of fooled them in a way too, because they're expecting me like to drink this down and just like basically lose my breath. If you're not used to the taste of this stuff, it will probably knock your socks off. I am. So at first it was like, okay, you need to drink this little cup now. You've chosen wrongly, and it was near the end of the night. So and they're younger people, so they're probably thinking, okay, we're gonna make a real ass out of this guy. These kids who work in the park, because I hate to say it, but you know what kids are going to be voting for majority of the time. Not saying that's always correct, but they're going to be supporting Hillary Clinton. If they're too young to vote and they believe all this bullshit on the news and the media, they're gonna automatically think that Bush is the bad guy and Hillary is, no matter what they say about her, she is like holier than thou. So, again, I didn't mean to go on a big story like I did, but I thought it was kind of funny, and it did, like, I played, literally, I didn't do it purposely, but I literally was, so naive to what they were trying to do to me, and so stupid about it, which was great, that they were, again, trying to make an ass out of me, and it just kind of didn't go anywhere. And I've done this in the past, on purpose, too, where somebody tries to make an ass out of me, I just kind of ignore them, and let them make an ass out of themselves. And I think this is what kind of happened. So, and that, I guess in that case, then, I did have a pretty good time, because instead of it turning into them being a smart aleck to me, and I did have two young girls who were being kind of sarcastic to me at the very end of the night. And I kind of just ignored it, And I didn't do it deliberately, honestly, again. I didn't do it deliberately. It just came out that way, and it actually worked off better because, these young kids, that was another thing, I guess, when I was leaving, parents were coming in to pick up the kids who they dropped off that night, and then the kids who were working these events and these costumes. So, and they were mostly, there was a couple adults, but most of them were like young kids, and obviously probably didn't drive. They probably weren't old enough, doing these Halloween events. And I mean, some were like really psyched and stuff. Some of the kids were really happy. They really got into what they were doing. Obviously, some of them might be, who knows, they might be going for communications to become actors or something. That's, what you do. I know one of the places I usually go, and I was hoping to go this year, was the Hedge Grove, I think it's called, Playhouse, because a lot of these people, they go to a local college, and they're all there for the same purpose. They they're going to become professional actors, stage actors now, not film actors or TV actors, but stage actors. And they kind of, feel themselves out by putting on these plays that are very cheap, like $30 at the Hedge Grove, I think it's called. So that's the same thing there. They hire, and they do hire for like these, places like Dorney Park, down in Philly. There's Eastern Penitentiary, I think is that what it's called? Eastern State Penitentiary. They do a Halloween thing. They hire out these actors, and they get people that are just trying to get their, they're practicing or studying how to become a professional actor, stage actor, and they feel their oaks out by doing this stuff and get paid for it, around Halloween. It's actually really fun for them, and sometimes for me too. So, yeah, I'm trying to just get my thoughts together. So I get a kick out of it, but so you can tell the ones that take it really seriously, because some of these people, they get really into their character, and it's like funny because why I even mentioned Hedgegrove, because I see that type of acting, like these people, what they're doing, even like acting amongst a group of people, like there was a couple different places you're like a participant in what was going on. The person has to play role a character of some sort, and basically what happens is, like, these people, you can tell those are the guys that are. There was a guy in particular, you could tell he was definitely, and a couple of the women and girls, young girls, they're all into it very seriously. They're not fooling around. They take what they've learned and, having fun with it too, extremely seriously. They get into the character they're playing. As simple as it may be, they get into it. And but the level of what they're trying to do is the same thing I see. And those guys are actually really good, and gals, I should say, guys and gals. At the Hedgegrove Theater, those people, they learn plays. They take a long time when they start a new play that they have to learn all the lines and play that particular character. The best one I saw there at the Hedgegrove, by the way, was Count Dracula. They did an incredible job. Now, some of those are like, they might even be their professors or whatever, their teachers who actually participate in playing parts at the Hedgegrove. But I'm sorry, because I do keep on going back and forth from one place to another, so that's probably very confusing. Most of the time I always am, so, I apologize about that. But where am I at on time? I want to keep this at a simple task, too. I really don't have many stories. I didn't think I was going to even get an hour out of the show, but I obviously did. Yeah, so, and it had people walking around that were supposed to scare you and stuff, and some of it was just like entertaining, but it wasn't really scary as much as I thought I was. That's one of those things, again, folks. You build up in your head how bad it's going to be. Like, I had this build in my head, like when I go to this Darney Park, it's going to be so freaking scary that I have to buy this pass that says, "Please don't scare me." And I do want to mention what two of the young girls that were actors in this one event kind of made a sarcastic remark to me about that. And I was like, I kind of just blew it off. It's like, okay, maybe I had that coming, but you really, hey, I'm the paying customer. You shouldn't really insult people, just to give you a heads up. I thought that in the back of my head, but I just kind of played along with it. They're cute girls, and they're playing like these ghosts or zombies and with big mouths, but they were playing ghost or whatever, or some type of maidens. That's the word I'm looking for. They were like maidens in certain parts of these tours. Even like the one that made me drink this potion or this alcohol, supposedly, which was actually apple cider vinegar. But there was these other maidens that were in this other event. Girls dressed up like maidens. And is that the right word, by the way? I think it is. I'm trying to look for the right word, at least. But, yeah, they try to, two of them try to insult me. It's like, yeah. You know what? I think what it is, I got such a thick skin, believe it or not. It doesn't seem like I do, but I actually did incorporate a little bit of a thick skin from work, from being insulted from coworkers at work, call me names and stuff, that when I heard it from like these two people trying to insult me, in particular, I'll mention in a second, these two girls, it's just like, it's not going to work. I'm like literally got a scab on, you can't wound me at all. So, I'm trying to think, like, overall, like, how good was last night. It was all right. Again, the best part was I got a lot of freaking exercise, probably more than I anticipated. But yeah, there was definitely it was a workout, to say the least, from all the walking I did last night. But what I ended up doing was the meal pass I never used. There was like basically a place called, Chicky and Pete's. Might have heard of it. I don't know. But if you haven't, I really seen it before, but I don't know too much about them. They had two types of Chicky and Pete's. They had one that was basically a sports bar right on the, what do you call it? And there was a lot of young kids, a lot of young girls there. Where, again, their parents dropped them off, so they don't know what they're doing. They went in the sports bar at Dorney Park. It's in the gates. See, when you go in the gates, by the way, you can't leave again. You're not allowed to leave. If you leave, then you can't get back in. So you're kind of screwed. You have to stay within the gates. I couldn't figure out why they did that at first, but now it makes sense. Because you got parents who drop off their kids. So the way to keep the kids in there, I guess, is you just say, hey, listen, if you leave the gate, even if you're marked or tagged, you're not getting back in. That way they know that the kids aren't going to scatter off and run downtown or something like that. They have to stay within the grounds. Otherwise, they're going to be outside the gates for the rest of the night for hours. And then the parents are going to figure out, okay, we dropped you off here, and you're outside the gate. How did you get out without, me knowing? So they have this kind of planned out pretty well to make sure these kids don't take off. Like, they're in there. Basically, that was the thing that kind of bothered me. But this was set up, like, it didn't dawn on me at first, but it was, like, set up basically as for tweens and teenagers and young adults, but it was set up like basically to give the parents a rest from their kids. It was like a glorified daycare center. So that part I didn't like, because usually when you go to Dorney Park, when I used to go years ago, I was too young to remember too well, but when I used to go years ago, or we went to other parks like Dorney Park, but I do remember when I was really, really small, my parents would take me there. But we went as a family, and there is some people that went as families, but a lot of them were just young girls mainly again, and kids and their, girlfriends and boyfriends, young teenagers that were basically dropped off by the parents and let them wander let them do whatever they wanted to do. Well, we never did that. When I was that age and smaller, probably a lot smaller, but yeah, I was, accompanied by an adult. I wasn't like just dropped off and, okay, now it's your responsibility to take care of our kids for the next 5 hours or 6 hours or whatever it may be. So, I know I really didn't answer anything specific about what went on. But the events weren't even that spectacular. Now, some of them, by the way, this is the only thing that made it worth the extra money if I wanted to look into this. It did make a difference. Apparently, some of these attractions, I think there was like 12 of them. Some of them only lasted 30 seconds or whatever. But some of these attractions, just to get in for 5 minutes, they would take you to walk through this haunted mansion. There was one called the Haunted Mansion, and some type of, a sane asylum and things like that, it was all right. But to do all that stuff, you would have to wait just to get in for 5 minutes or whatever. It would take the wait-in time for one, which was called the Haunted Mansion, was 2.5 hours. You had to wait just to walk through for 5 minutes. So not even 3 minutes, 2 minutes. So yeah, you're going to wait an hour and a half to go through something. It's only going to last you less than 120 seconds. To me, that doesn't sound like it's worth it. And I got through in a matter of a minute, 5 minutes, and one actually, which was again towards the end of the night that I did. Not only was I the only one in this pass everybody else lane, I was literally the only one. Actually, at one point, I was like, okay, is there anybody else waiting in this line to skip to the front of the line? And they said, no, you would be the only one. It was like, okay, so guess what? I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick, which I went like a million times last night. Sorry, I moved my head looking for something. But I ran and the bathroom wasn't close by, and I ran to this bathroom. I came back, and there was still nobody in the advancement line. Like, pay the extra cash, being the first one in line. So that was great. Because next to me, and it was called Blackout. Now that one, you're not allowed to use any flashlights, nothing. Like you have like this. I'm sorry for using that terminology, but it was a ghost light that you're supposed to use. Don't scare me. And they said, don't even turn that on there. The actors will get very pissed at you if you do that, Walter. So I didn't do that. And, actually, I did do it a few times because there was literally no light in there. It was like a speckle light. I actually, folks, now my friend Matt will find this funny, but I'm not even kidding. It was so dark. It wasn't like if somebody was trying to scare me, I was like, okay, you're trying to scare me, but I can't see a fucking thing. So you're not even scaring me. I mean, I'm like, and it was so dark. I walked right into a wall. I mean, you can't see your head in front of your face. It was that freaking dark. So, yeah, I literally, and there was people behind me that I was walking into them, and they said, is this the way out? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And in fact, I didn't say this, but I was ready to say, yeah, this is not the way out because I just walked into a wall. Isn't that great? So it's called Blackout. And it could be a good idea, but the only problem was you couldn't see a damn thing. That's why it was called Blackout. And so I keep on moving my head. And I was more frustrated than anything else. The whole purpose of it was to scare the crap out of you. It was like, you're not scaring the crap out of me. You are pissing me off, though, because I can't see anything. I literally can't see anything. So, but that one, by the way, the one called Blackout, the wait in line for that was like 2 or 3 hours. I got the first one. Nobody else had walked to the front of the line on their ticket, but I did. So I walked in past like 300 people waiting to go through this entertainment thing. And I was the first one in line. It's like, yeah, I got you. So that part was kind of worth it because these 12 events, even the ones that were like 30 seconds, which you thought they were going to be so spectacular, yeah, I hate to tell you, but you had to wait hours for even those. Like the lines were going around the park, not even joking. So, I felt fortunate, like, okay, I wasted 100 in one way, but another way, I didn't waste any more time. I made sure to get everything I wanted to get done. So, and I wouldn't have, if I would have been waiting, one of those events would have taken me literally 3/4 of the night. Well, I don't have the tag in front of me, but I did 12 of them within the course of the night, 15 of them, whatever it was. So, and you get what's called a skeleton key. The whole thing's a gimmick. I know that, but, I just wanted to do, again, something different. A lot of people are saying how fantastic it was. They've done it every year. Some older woman was with her friend or whatever, and she says, oh, this one woman I was talking to in one of these events, she says, oh, my friend does this I don't know if it was her friend or her mother. It's hard to tell. It was really hard to tell. They're older people, though, around my age. And the one woman said, this is the first time I'm doing it, but so-and-so, she's done it every year at Dorney Park. She's come here every year and did every event. And they said, oh, don't worry, they changed a little bit this year. I was like, well, okay, so if this is the change-up, it was pretty good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't spectacular. In fact, I thought Eastern and Penhurst were much better than this. So I thought they were much, much better. And they're probably equally as expensive. They're about $100 if you want to get the grandiose, jump to the front of the line kind of thing. So next year, I don't know what I'll do. I'm kind of glad I just at least said I can say I did this now and got it out of my system. I don't know if I'll do it again next year. I seriously doubt it because it was just so unorganized. But and I'm not going to say it was fun. It was interesting. How's that? I didn't waste any more money, but I did eat at Chickies and Pete's. That was about $20, I think, $17 just for a hamburger and a soda, which all that should have been included, but since I went outside of my meal plan, kind of, so to speak, it did cost me some money. But it was worth it. Because I got to sit down at a sports bar instead of, sitting at a picnic table. So I didn't mind that. I spent $10, and that's the most I spent last night, folks. The $10 on the aspirins and a glass of water. Bottle water. So it was obviously overmarked. It was like $2 worth of stuff, if even that. More like $1, and I paid $10 for it. But you know what? When you feel sick, you're not going to wait until you get home. Because I had a 40-minute drive to get home. There's no way I'm not going to 50-minute drive. The last thing I'm going to do is go home feeling violently sick when I could have spent $10 and not have to deal with feeling, as nauseous or sick as I did. So that's why it was worth the $10. But that's all I spent. I didn't spend any more, no less, and it was fine. Sorry about that. I'm taking a little breather too. And I'm actually over an hour. Wow, I'm so sorry about that, folks. So, I forgot, by the way, because I did mention that I was going to say something about this. But it was these two girls. There was this one event, and that was actually kind of funny. It was like I was asking, okay, where are these vents? I had to ask everybody at the park. Most people didn't know where the vents were that worked there because they just kind of changed the location or changed the name of what the event was supposed to be called. So there was this one where they basically put a satchel over your head, and they say, okay, you're going to be, basically they try to scare you by, they pretend like they're going to hang you. So they put a satchel over your head. And it was like, okay, I'll play along with it, but no offense. I kept on pulling it up because I couldn't breathe. So that was a major issue for me. I couldn't breathe, and because I had my sinuses racked up. I'm like a big baby with that. My sinuses were acting up, and I said, I kept on pulling it up. I said, hey, you can put this satchel over my head, because they said, oh, we're going to hang you right now for all your crimes. It was like, okay, you can do that. But just let me pull that satchel up over my head, because it was like a burlap sack over my head and over my nose. And see, where I work, we have to do this gowns process where you put something over your face, a mask, a paper mask, and I can't wear even paper masks because I can't breathe. And you can say, well, Walter, you're claustrophobic then. It was like, yeah, but it's more than that. I literally, just the way my sinuses are, I could not freaking breathe. I literally could not breathe. And it was driving me crazy. It was like they kept on pulling up this burlap bag they put over my head. And I try to say, I'll go along with the gag that you're doing, but I just got to lift this off my head because I can't freaking breathe. I'm trying to. So I kept on pulling this burlap sack over my head while they were saying, well, you're being executed. And the thing I'm thinking, I just want to be able to breathe through my nose. I'm sorry, I cannot breathe. And all I could smell was that nasty smell of burlap, which was not a very pleasant smell for me to inhale, so to speak. So I played the gag. The whole thing, believe it or not, lasted. That's the thing. It lasted 1.5 minutes, like not even, about a minute. So it wasn't even that long. So that was kind of funny too. It's like, hey guys, I feel really bad for you, but you picked the wrong person to do this with. But I was the only one too, because they was like a couple of times I went to some of these events. They said, well, let's wait for other people. The last few were, okay, it's the end of the night. They're closing in like 5 minutes. So they couldn't wait for other people. There is no other person coming. So they were stuck with just me. So yeah, it was interesting. So after that was done, it was like, okay, I even asked them, I said, is there anything else? Like, is this it then? And they said, yeah, this is the whole thing. But a lot of people, though, were going off about this one thing where they put the satchel over your head and how it was like, wow, they do this, they do that. And, they pretend like they're executing you. It was like, yeah, but I wasn't interested. I didn't think it was that's the way like the other people were building up. I didn't find it as amusing as they did. I'm sorry, because usually I like find this stuff I'm very easily entertained, but I wasn't, and I felt bad. I mean, these guys are trying, and I'm just being a party pooper. So anyway, this is where it comes up to with these young girls that were dressed up like maidens. I should see if that's the right word. I'll look this up right now, and I'll go in that story then. So I keep on thinking of Iron Maiden, but no, maiden is a girl or a young woman, especially an unmarried one. So it's probably right, because I keep on thinking of the group Iron Maiden, but which there was a thing called an Iron Maiden, I think. Excuse me. But yeah, these were maidens, young girls that were dressed up like, old, what do you call it? Old Renaissance kind of maidens or whatever you want to call them. Not Renaissance. That's probably before or whatever. I can't remember. So anyway, these two young girls, they were saying when they saw me come out, they were supposed to be maidens that were ghosts. And they said, oh, can we like touch your badge? And they saw me have the ghost thing on there. And they said, you're really wasting your money for the ghost thing. They said, the one girl said, and she said, nothing's really that scary here. And she was supposed to be playing like a maiden. There was two of them that came up to me or a couple people liked my shoes. I had these, what I call brocks or brogue. I can't say it right. It's wing-tipped shoes, but they're Doc Martens that are wing-tipped. They don't make anymore. And I've had 3 times that people actually in the last couple days asked me, where did you get those shoes? Because they were so unique. Because they look like dress shoes, but they kind of are not, just like everyday shoes. So I had people ask me about those, even the actors at this place. And then they loved my T-shirt because I had the Friday the 13th T-shirt on I got last year for $5 because it was late in the year. And they put out the same one this year and they're charging like $20. I got it for $5 last year at the very end of the season. Friday the 13th from Old Navy. Literally, it was like the last one I had in my size down in Willow Grove. I picked it up and it was like $5. I'll take it. So, and I've been wearing it. I would have bought another one this year, but they're like again, they're marked down to 15 from the 20 because season's over almost. And it was like, yeah, but you know what? I've had no problems with this one Friday the 13th T-shirt. Why do I need a backup when there's nothing wrong with the one I have? Now, I usually do buy other ones. So anyway, they admired that. Then they liked my T-shirt, these two young maidens that were ghosts. And then they were like, but the one girl, she couldn't let it go. And she said about the ghost ticket. And I was probably because I was by myself too. It was the end of the night. She just was having some fun with me. And then she said like, oh, you got this thing that you don't want to be scared and nothing's really that scary there. She says, you must have a problem. You must have some, and she said it in so many words or less, not this way, but you must have some mental issues that you needed that. I was like, something on that line. It was something a little bit, you don't say to a paying customer. I think what it was, she probably just didn't care because it was technically their last night. They won't probably be back next year in their mind. Hey, I won't be back next year. I won't be doing this next year. Or if they are, that, hey, it's the end of the season. I don't give a crap. It's the very last person I will see if I do come back for another year of doing this play role in a maiden. So she had fun with me, and she put her little chuckle in and her little dig of saying, well, if you need to buy this thing not to be scared, you obviously have some issues, mental issues. And you know what? I think I did, by the way, folks, and it is after an hour, so I apologize. I did that. What is that called? Dale Carnegie or something? The guy who wrote the book, which I have to look it up because I can't remember the name. How they influence people or how to win friends and influence people. Let me put that in. How to influence. Let me move this mic down. Influence I always get it wrong. Somebody told me to buy the book. I read the whole thing. I even did all the stuff in the book. Didn't work. There we go. I think it looks like Dale Carnegie. So that's like for like a century, that book's been like on the top list of like the best books to ever read, and yeah, you know, how to like win friends and stuff, because this book goes back a long way. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale. It looks like, again, Carnegie. That's why I say it. It's like been on the top list for I don't know how long. I don't even know when the book originally came out. I don't know what the publishing date was on that originally. I'm trying to look for it. So anyway, I kind of want that aspect with this girl being so sarcastic with me. She was a cute girl, and the other one was, there was two of them that were kind of picking on me in the last moment. But I did the whole thing that Dale Carnegie would tell you to do, if that's the way. Okay, that book was originally published in February of 1937. So, yeah, that book's been around for quite a while. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Wow, I didn't even know it was that old. Let's see how old that means. 20. Whoops. Using my old trusty online calculator for this one. Excuse me. It's almost 80 years old. It's 79 years old. So that's crazy. So one of the things Dale Carnegie, whatever how you say his name, would say is when people try to belittle you or take you down a peg or two, generally what they're saying, there's always probably some grain of truth on what they're saying. So, yeah, there was some truth when she said, oh, you must be a little bit crazy or something like that. Well, I took that perspective. Well, yeah, I've seen psychiatrists. I've been in mental state wards and stuff. So is there some truth in what she's saying? Well, absolutely. She's trying to call me a nutcase because, you know, in a subtle way that would try, like anybody else would probably send through the roof. But I did the Dale Carnegie thing, and instead of letting it get to me with this young girl, figured, hey, it's the end of the thing. I'm just going to fuck with people now. Sorry about that. And try to, like, just insult people for the last 5 minutes of until another year comes around. And I basically, you know, did that, again, the Dale Carnegie thing, and just basically said, yeah, you know what? She is kind of right about that. Yeah, I am a little bit crazy and stuff. Maybe more so. A lot more so. And just kind of, like, took it from that perspective. So instead of her getting, I guess, her last rise out of me of getting me insulted, I kind of just rubbed it off of like, well, you know what, you're right. So, okay. And when that's blew all the steam out of her. So that's my story about that. I'll tell you one thing, though. There were so many women there, girls of all different ages, all different sizes. And I mentioned this to a friend. It was just like a sea of yoga pants, and I know my friend Matt says, oh, I was waiting for you to say that, but Walter, you wait till the second hour to talk about this. But it was true. And actually, I did want to bring this up because it was funny, actually. I wanted to get this young kid to do a plug, this young kid with his girlfriend, because this is no joke. It was like, okay, this is ridiculous. These girls, like, and they didn't even try, unless they thought I was looking at them. Now, most people say, well, you know what, you're paranoid, Walter. No, it's true, because I've seen it happen firsthand. When women or girls see me, they automatically just get their shirts and they start pulling them down over their front and back. Like, they don't want me to check out their ass. And I've seen girls do that before, literally, like, I was even at the laundromat today, and some Hispanic guy, or some guy with his mother or something, or whatever, at the laundromat, she was not that attractive. She wasn't attractive at all. Not even not that attractive. She just wasn't attractive, period. And she had on spandex pants. And the son says, here, put this on. Put on this coat. Because, you know, and why they do that is, you know, people don't want you checking out their loved ones, their girlfriends or boyfriends. Sometimes they're like directly insultive, but this is the first time I experienced that. And I saw that a lot at, at Dorney Park. Like, they don't want you to stare at them. They, unless you're some, like, misfit, it's all right for you to check them out. But if you're some guy, automatically you are the misfit. And they put on a jacket, or they put a long coat, or somebody else gives them something to cover up. Hey, that guy's like checking you out too long. It's like checking you out. I have barely made eye contact. My eyes have not made eye contact with your ass for more, or not at all, but for like a millisecond. Because, your eyes are automatically go there. So even with the 5-year-olds, now I'm being sarcastic because I say that, and automatically they're ready to pull out the key and put me in jail. But again, if it's some other type of pervert, hey, you know what? There's an open invitation. Like, it was a joke. My friend Joe Thomas said years ago. He was singing a Madonna song, and there was some line in Madonna, an open invitation, and he changed it to an open invitation to my pants. So I use that joke. That's where I get it from. It's my friend Joe Thomas. Now, that was way before spandex actually has broken the threshold of like the norm of what women wear and young girls wear. I was over the mall. It was just all yoga pants. I had to go over to King of Prussia to return something today. I ordered online at Banana Republic. It was a pair of shoes that were so tight I couldn't fit in them. And it was just like a sea again of like, a sea, an ocean of lycra spandex and yoga pants. And I can kind of see that some guy made a complaint like they're made for exercise. And I had this discussion, a voicemail I left with a friend today. And I said, listen, nowadays these young girls, women in general, just wear thongs and lycra spandex. And it's like neither one is comfortable. I'll tell you that much. Not that I've ever worn string underwear, a piece of string up your ass. But I've talked to women, even in college, that I was very open with about stuff, and they were open with me about things. And I hate to tell you, they have as many, like, bathroom accidents, if it's wetting themselves or crapping themselves in the back of their pants, just as much as guys do. Like, women kind of lead you to think that they don't have that problem. They don't have bowel problems or diarrhea, or, they might crap themselves or something. And that they do. So I even said to a friend, and you're telling me that a thong is incredibly comfortable wear, a piece of string strung up your ass, where if you crap yourself, that crap is going to go all over your clothes. The reason for underwear, I'm sorry, the purpose of underwear, and even for women to wear a bra, I'm assuming it's just keep their breasts from sagging or whatever. It supports their breast. Guys don't have that problem. We just wear T-shirts. But why do we wear T-shirts? Normal guys wear T-shirts for one purpose. Well, you don't want to ruin your shirt. So if you sweat or sweat and stuff, you're going to ruin your T-shirt, not like your really good shirt. Women wear bras to support their their breasts, and they wear underwear just like guys do, so you won't leave a mess and your good clothes. But then on top of it, they wear basically it's no more or no less. It's a pair of pantyhose is basically what it is. It's all spandex is anyway. But you're wearing a pair of colored pantyhose with a piece of string up your ass, which neither one is comfortable to wear, does not support what do you call it? Well, now they got girdles built into these yoga pants. So if you're a real fat chick, it'll push all the fat in and make you look like you actually have a build. So that's where I came up with this analysis before that it's just basically false advertisement. But then if you're not the right person to look at them, then they get really pissed. But the bottom line is the workout outfits, I even explained this because years ago I'd wear probably something similar. I never really, I try to do exercise things and I never found it comfortable. I never did. I get bored. It's horrible. I'm not a person who wants to work out, bottom line. But the purpose for spandex was, if you're running or anything like that, it's less constriction, like it doesn't constrict you as much. If you wear spandex working out, like literally working out, lifting weights or doing some physical exercise where you're doing a lot of bending and twists and everything like that, on a normal basis, they aren't comfortable to wear. But then if you want to wear them, to work out, you're not going to hurt yourself as badly because you're not having like the clothes pulling you back like your arms or your legs or whatever. That was the whole purpose of what, basically what why they made these yoga pants and his spandex. It's just a way, especially if you're a runner or a biker, the last thing you want to do is get a biker, especially, you don't want to get your pant legs, because that happened years ago. You used to get your pant legs caught into what do you call it? The things in the wheel, or into basically get yourself tangled into the bike itself, the bicycle wheels, or what do you call it, the chain or whatever. So stuff like that made complete sense. You would wear them for that purpose. You would wear them to work out so you wouldn't hurt yourself or strain yourself as much, because you have zero constriction. Now, wearing it just to walk around in, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable at all. But why did they do it? Because they want to draw attention to themselves. That's the bottom line. I've said this for a long time, and I almost kind of like, now my friend Matt would disagree with me with this, but it kind of got proven, and I had to almost laugh. But I'm at Dorney Park, and this guy was with his girlfriend, and guess what he says to her, folks, out loud, like everybody can hear it. I was ready to go up to the guy and say, dude, can you like do a plug for my show, and then I want to interview really quickly, and I want you to say why you just said the statement you made. And what he said to his girlfriend really loud that everybody can hear him, he said, why aren't you wearing your yoga pants? So, okay, women say, well, I wear them because they're comfortable, but yet the one time this girl doesn't wear them, obviously they're not that comfortable, for number one. Maybe her parents didn't want her to wear those out, because the reason girls wear that stuff, they want men, not men, but guys their age, to check them out. They want to show off their breast. They want to show off their ass. They want to show off their hey, nanny, nanny. And they want to advertise it and like, look what I have. Look at my man, and my man has this, but you're not going to have it. Like, very childish kind of behavior, basically what it is. So when I heard this guy say it, I was like, I was telling a friend, I left a voicemail. I said, I was so tempted to go up to this guy, this kid, and say, hey, listen, can you just like explain why you just mentioned to your girlfriend, or asked her, why aren't you wearing your yoga pants? And the last thing he's going to say, well, because she really feels comfortable in those, and I don't know why she's going to wear them. No, he's going to say exactly what I've been saying for the last year and a half, whatever I've been talking about this on my show. He wants to see her body like in this stuff because it turns him on so he can jerk off to it. Or like basically have sex with her or something like that. That's the bottom line. There is no other purpose. Don't hide the truth why you wear it. You're not wearing it because it's comfortable. You're wearing it because you're trying to basically turn on guys. I mean, come on, let's face it. I had this discussion before, and and when I heard this guy say this, especially from a young kids, when we were that age, me and my friend Matt and my friend Todd, that's all we ever thought about was sex. Fucking women and stuff, whatever you want to say. That was the only thing that was on our. I mean, it still is, but to the extent it was then, it was like 24/7. Like you're a walking vat of sperm that needs to come out. And I hate to tell you, but girls are no better. They may not have sperm, and they may only have a certain percentage of eggs or ovaries, but that doesn't change the fact of how they think. They're just as horny as guys, if not even more so. Somehow they say women don't get as horny as men do, but because the testosterone is the thing that does it to men. And it's like, you know what, I hate to tell you that, like everything else with the left side trying to make you to believe that women are being raped and everything again, and I used to talk about that, which I do all the time. It is an hour and a half, by the way, too. No offense, but that's bullshit. That is total bullshit. So one thing I even learned in a psychology course years ago, that, certain things that they tell you, I still remember this from this one professor, I've said this a million times, when her professor said little girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice, and little boys are made of blah, blah, blah. I can't remember that. But I just remember, and then she said that whole fantasy, why, I think it was actually a sociology course probably, differentiating how men are treated, or as little boys, much different than little girls. And why that is. It's just because of our culture. So, that goes into what I just mentioned about the whole Hispanics, which I'm not going to reiterate. But I really did want to go up to this guy and say, listen, can you do me a favor? And can you kind of do like a short interview can I just kind of quiz you on this real quick? Why you asked your girlfriend why she wasn't wearing her yoga pants? Because that's all I see these girls wear over the malls and everywhere else, or in public, the grocery market, doesn't matter. They're in the spandex and they're holding hands with some guy, or they make sure if the proper person is in front of them, they make sure everything is like literally hanging out. Well, not hanging out probably, because if they got some like gut on them, they make sure that's pushed back in. So that was really entertaining when I heard that. I do want to end this show, by the way. Now, one thing I told my father, and I kind of regret, because I was impressed tonight, folks, which takes a lot to impress me. But some guy that did ask me about my shoes, he was like, there was his family and stuff. And he spoke, folks, perfect English. He spoke perfect English. And he was talking to me, and he said about the rides. He liked my shoes, and he was telling me about what to expect from the different things. You really don't need the scare one. He was even telling me it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. But who he was with, he spoke, I'd say like Spanish or something. Latino. And he spoke that perfectly. But when he talked to me, he talked like a very well-educated, hard-working U.S. citizen. And he probably was. Now, what people don't understand about Trump, like everybody, like the Democrats especially don't understand, is like you got these groups of Hispanics that will vote for Trump only. They don't like, and this is what they're hoping for. Like they like want to let all these illegals in this country, or minorities, like allow more of them to come in here, thinking that they're all of them are just going to vote automatically Democrat, because we're going to give them all this stuff for free. We're letting them live here for free, blah, blah, blah. Well, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, maybe actually more than I hope more than I like to believe. There's those who basically want more than what they're getting from the government, and they're going to vote for Trump even after that fact. And I've seen that. And I'm not going to say this guy either was or wasn't, but there is a lot of people who come to this country even that were Hispanic and are pissed off because they did go through the right chains of command. They didn't get okay, we're just going to let you in the country. We're having an amnesty day, and you're the prize winner. You get to live in our country for free. There is many of those who basically are pissed, are furious by these kind of people. Like, it's like, listen, hey, I came to this country because the country I came from did not offer what this country does. I learned English. I speak English. My kids speak English. And whatever happens in our house is different, but I'm an American now. I am not, some second-class citizen, or whatever you want to call it, who is going to take advantage of this freaking country. So my guess is this guy was pretty much, to me, he kind of reminded me of that kind of person. Like, hey, I'm here, I'm an American citizen, and I'm going to associate with people as an American citizen. It was like I had the most respect for this guy. But tonight I go into the laundromat, and there was a lot of Hispanic descent people who did not speak any English. And then they were on their cell phones, like their nicely paid cell phones, probably that we paid for, and were blasting like the TV or YouTube on there at extremely, extremely high levels. And it was on Hispanic speaking stuff, and it was extremely blasting. And then they were talking on their cell phones and to each other very loudly in Spanish. And it's like, okay, this is not my country anymore. Now, this was down in Audubon, by the way, in case you wanted to know. So the other place, Dorney Park, I think, that I went to is up. Oh, wait, did I say Allentown? Audubon. And maybe I did say it right. One was on Audubon that I did my laundry today. The other place was in Allentown, I believe, the Dorney Park. So you go from one extreme to the other, where you go. Sorry, I probably sound like I'm going from one direction to the other on my voice. But yeah, it's frustrating though, because you got those people who really just want to make this country work, and you got the other ones who just don't care. They're like, oh, you know what? I'm getting everything for free right now. I'm not going to learn this language. I'm not going to fit in. I'm not going to become part of a citizen of this country. I don't need to, because I already am getting everything given to me anyway. And that's the part that pisses me off, but it also pisses off other people who came to this country legitimately and try to establish a life for their family, their kids, their grandkids, things like that. So I experienced both yesterday and today with both sides of the fence, so to speak. We'll see what will happen from a week on, this coming Tuesday, or be a week from then. We will soon find out what happens, and hopefully, I really hope people choose the right person. I mean, if you're a Democrat, well, look, you've gotten what you wanted for like 8 years in a row, and yet things haven't gotten better. They have gotten much worse with the whole thing with people's finances, taxes, healthcare. It's, all this stuff that was supposed to be by now should be much better has become extremely, extremely worse. So, just take that in consideration. I think some people actually are realizing this now. I think. I don't know. I'll find out when Election Day comes. And if people are truly just like, okay, we've had enough. We don't want another 8 years of this. We don't even want 4 years of this. We will find out on November 8th, which again is going to be, at this point, like 8 days away. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I actually had some other stuff too. Make sure my thing's working. I keep on moving my head away from my mic. It was kind of funny. I saw this actually I do like Apple products, and I keep on thinking I'm missing out on something, because one of the Apple products, these were was this Mac Pro, Desktop Pro, that looks like they call it the trash bin. It's like a metal trash bin. It literally looks like a trash can. And I always wonder, it seemed like it was like one of their failed things of making something so extremely different for Apple that it's doomed from day one. And it lasted, I think, since 2013. So it's lasted 3 years. And they're saying, I read a couple articles that said it was the worst thing that Apple actually ever put out. And it starts at $4,000 and it goes up from there to around $10,000. So they go through one. There was two different articles I had. I'm gonna have to see if I can find another one. Oh, you know what else? Let me throw this in now, because this was supposed to be one of my first stories and I forgot all about. I was really psyched. I saw it tonight on TV. My mother was watching some horror movies on one of the channels, probably BBC America. They're even showing horror movies. That Doctor Who episode called Power of the Daleks. That was the first episode after the first regeneration with Patrick Troughton. They redid the whole entire thing. They made it into a black and white cartoon because the whole thing was pretty much trashed. It was incinerated. I think in 1974, there was a thing and they cleaned out old TV shows and stuff, which it wasn't even that old back then, but it was old enough for them just to basically incinerate them. So a lot of the, from 1963 to around 1969, even part of the 1971s to 74, a lot of those episodes were destroyed, got misplaced, whatever. So, BBC America on, I think it's the 19th or something like that, they're going to be putting on, I think it was, I had it up and I apologize, I had taken it down, was Doctor Who, The Power of the Dialects. That's the first one with Troughton, by the way. So, it's been finished now. You can actually pre-order it from England because I have a Blu-ray player that plays Region 2 DVDs, because this would just be a DVD. It's just a cartoon. Remastered of the original 1966 or something like that. Or no, let's see. Yeah, 1966. Power to Dialects. That's right after Hartnell stepped out of the role in Troughton just regenerated into the new Doctor Who. So it was the first regeneration ever done. That whole episode's gone. So they remaster it into a cartoon because they have all the sound files. They're all intact because the audio was shot separately. So that's really cool. Now, on November 14th, if you're interested, you can actually see it at phantomevents.com in the theaters, which I am tempted to do that, but I'd have to take another day off, another vacation day, which I might do. I may just do it. I'm not sure yet because I'm taking a vacation day tomorrow for Halloween. I could probably stretch out even one more because I have no other events to go to. And by the way, I had taken this down. Lita Ford, I just found out, she's playing in Pennsylvania, in Sellersville, where she actually did a meet and greet. Now, get this, she only sold 30 tickets because the artist makes the decision how many tickets are sold for the meet and greet only, and it was like $50, $49.50, I think is what they said it was for the ticket for a meet and greet with Lita Ford. Now, most people don't know who Lita Ford was. Growing up, she was a big thing. Lita Ford was in a all-girls band, the first heavy metal or all-girls band. Girls. Let's see. But, yeah, she's still got tickets, but they're going to be, like, a little bit further back. And, you know what? I would have asked her to do a plug for my show. And I know she's actually been around here. Literally, she's been around here before. And, like, down in Oaks, which is right down the road from where I live. And she's done, like, meet and greets there. And I think I probably saw Lita Ford before, but I just never bothered to ask for her autograph and stuff. It's just now that I'm doing plugs for my show and I can get different entertainers to do it, it kind of would make more sense to, like, get her to do that. Yeah, Lita Rosanna Ford. The Runaways. She was in a band years ago. That's where, like, your rock, so to speak. The Runaways was the, you know, those girls broke up and they did their own thing, I guess. Let me see, the Runaways. They made it into a film too. So the popular song was back in the day. It was called Cherry Bomb. I'm trying to look up, but yeah, she's playing tomorrow at like 7:00. And earlier from the meet and greet. I would have done it, but yeah, it's not going to work. Just trying to see who was in the Runaways that people may actually know the band members. I mean, you're talking like, you know, they were hot chicks back in the day. That was considered, these chicks were hot. And they were all like literally, there was a rock band, but they were all pretty much, you know, barely legal as well, which was kind of interesting. But, you know, there were like a rock band of girls. I'm trying to look because I can't remember. Joan Jett was one of the Runaways in the band, too, with Lita Ford. There was like, let's see, 2, 4, 5 girls in the band. Yeah, they're not giving her names. But speaking about that, actually, some woman at work said she remembers watching this. This is something different, but talk about hot chicks. Back in the day, there was this show called Are You Being Served? And it's a British show. And I kind of turned it on and never watched it, but I was watching it, like, I bought the box and I bought the whole series for like $30, brand new on eBay. I'm like, watch it. It was like, I never really watched it that closely. I remember a show called Are You Being Served? But that was another show. These chicks, it was like 1973, 1974. Show was on for a couple seasons. That all the women had these ultra short skirts on. They have that 70s look, but they're British, which I always thought was kind of sexy with those accents. But they're all like dressed like we're barely. They're like, you see one episode, the girl is coming out of the dressing room. She can't get anybody to help her in her bra and her brassiere and her panties, or whatever how you say it, her bra and panties. And it was like, oh my God, these chicks from the 70s, some of them were like really freaking hot. So that's why I bring that up. I wonder if I can go by the. Okay, there was Joan Jett, Cherie Currie, Kim Foley, Sandy West, Lita Ford. What was that? Robin? Mary Curry. I think that might be all of them. I don't know. Because there was like different chicks in the band. So, yeah, I'm not really familiar. Oh, wait, here we go. Yeah, Joan Jett, Cherie Currie, Lita Ford, Sandy West, and Jackie Fox. They're all the original members of the band of the Runaways. So it was kind of like, it would be neat to see Lita Ford. I never put two and two together. I remember it was a couple years ago. Lita Ford was actually in Oaks here at one of the record conventions, so to speak. Yeah, they still do have those once in a blue moon. Not as much as they used to, apparently, because people just basically steal everything. They don't actually collect the albums like they used to. Even though records are making a comeback, that might actually help. But yeah, Lita Ford was over there. I think I did see her. I just never bothered to do anything about it, you know. And that was before I was actually doing when she was over here. Before I was actually doing plugs for shows, so for my podcast, which is going to be another 2-hour show of nonsense. So, and it is like my favorite day. So, Halloween is, that is. The other ones don't mean as much. It's weird. Even Christmas. God, it's weird how it's changed. So, yeah, so for, again, the Doctor Who thing, too, that's, I got to check that on BBC America, because, sorry, I'm liking some pictures of this woman, Debbie Haverland's kid, because he really gets a kick out of these horror things, so I make sure to acknowledge that. So let me look real quick and see if I can find. See if I have it still. I probably have Power to Dialect still in there. No, I've changed to the Runaways now. So if this works, by the way, with this Power to Dialects, you know there's other ones coming their way. Power of the Dialects, I think. Make sure I'm spelling it right. But yeah, BBC America. Actually, the people from England are yet to see it far, far more advanced than we are. Because in England, the BBC over there is going to show it, like, I think in a few days, this particular episode. It's actually it's almost 3 hours long, because the episodes were a half an hour, 22 minutes apiece. And I think Power to Dialects, if that's what it's called, I think it is. It's like 12 episodes. So it's literally it's about 12 or 10 episodes. Here we go. BBC America brings the destroyed Doctor Who episode back to life. Actually, it was multiple parts to this episode. So again, it's almost 3 hours long. I'm looking at yeah, these old things, the master negatives were destroyed in a purge in 1974. So a lot of like Hartnells, Troughtons, and even Pertwees were destroyed in this thing of burning stuff, because they just didn't have the room for all this stuff. Doctor Who and the Power of the Dialects coming to BBC America. So, I'm trying to look for the dates for people who are interested. It's actually on a Saturday. I might have to, Matt, if you listen to this, I'm trying to see if I can just basically kind of order it online, which I did from England, because it wasn't that much. It was like $19. And the purpose for that is just in case he says, hey, Walt, you want to go out tonight? Because normally Saturday nights are the nights we do things on a normal basis, so I'm not sitting at home. October 14th, I don't think that's a date. I think that might be... Oh, okay, October 14th is the theatrical version of this. And again, it's going to be 3 hours, though. That's pretty long. November 12th. That might be the one for England, because I know they're getting it before we are. I think ours is the 19th. So I'm pretty sure, because I asked my mother, I said, okay, is that around Thanksgiving? But I thought Thanksgiving, which it is what, like the 26th? So it was like, yeah. So, yeah, and now this is funny because this is going to be the only year of the Doctor Who, a season of Doctor Who is not going to be on since they brought it back. So I guess it's going to be, that's why they're kind of other things to kind of keep people, what do you call it, thrilled in, the whole Whoniverse, the Whoniverse, Doctor Who universe, by doing stuff like this, keeping people's interest peaked. Okay, here we go. Can't make it to the screening. Do not fret, sweaties. The Power of the Daleks will premiere on BBC America on Saturday, November 19th at 8:25 p.m. That's a weird time, but 8:25, it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. So November 19th, that is a Saturday. If you can't make it to the theatrical version of this, cartoon version with the original sound, basically the soundtrack was separate from the actual video or film, because they shot everything on film back then you can catch it on TV on the 19th, which is a Saturday, November 19th. So either way, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing it with other fans, even though they're like, I don't kind of appreciate the new fans as much as I appreciate the old fans of what I grew up, the people I grew up with Doctor Who. But that's something to look forward to. It is actually going on 2 hours almost. It's hard to believe. I always say this every night. I thought I couldn't even get 5 minutes out of a show. Of course, what I'm talking about is like not relevant to anything, and it's just plain boring, but that's besides the point. So folks, you got Halloween tonight. You have in about 2 weeks, you can go see, if you're a big Doctor Who fan like me, Doctor Who and the Power of the Daleks. It's a cartoon, black and white cartoon, because they want to keep that effect that episode originally had brought with it. So at least can give you a feel of what that was about on the big screen. And if you don't have time, or you can't get a day off, or you're some reason you just forgot about it, don't worry, don't sweat it. You can catch it in a couple of weeks or a following week on your TV set on Saturday night at 8:25. So that's pretty cool. Now, I want to go back to this whole thing. That's why I was going back to about this whole thing with the trash bin from Apple. Well, it's basically a Mac Pro. I put this up. I bookmarked it on my page, and I totally forgot about it. So I want to mention it now. And I got it probably buried now with all these pictures of chicks. So it might take me a minute if I can find it. If not, I'll just kind of go off. Finish this up and tell you from what I remember what I found yesterday. Can't believe I found this many stories. Oh, here we go. This was a story I found from Macworld, and it was kind of dated now, I guess. It was the 27th of October. Yeah, that's a really dated story. 27th of October. God. It was only like a couple days ago. New Mac Pro release date rumors UK. Mac Pro 2016 tech specs. Reliable sources predict new Mac Pro by the end of November at the latest. Now, they were talking about a MacBook Pro, but then they mentioned about how it was such a failure at this point, the Mac Desktop Pro. So you will not see an update probably on the trash bin, but they said that this probably has been another mistake from Apple, which they've made many over the years, and they're still a very successful company. Let's see. It says, when will the Mac Pro get an update? A source close to Apple has told us to expect a new Mac Pro by the end of November at the latest. But they did release a MacBook Pro that's coming out. So we're feeling optimistic. Blah, blah, blah. The new Mac Pro release date. So they did mention about a new MacBook Pro. Book Pro. But the actual desktop, they may try one more time to make this a little more successful than it has been. But as I mentioned before in other shows, when I mentioned about the desktop, the major issues that people have is that to expand anything on this, you have to take it externally, which basically just makes it your desk where you would put it a mess, because you got all these wires and cables that have to protrude for extra hard drive space, extra memory, blah, blah, blah. Well, some of the memory can be installed, but it's not like everything's inside. In fact, nothing is inside the Mac Desktop Pro. So again, this has created major problems. And then I found like two different articles, I guess more recently than I thought they were. And they said that this has been such a failure for this trash bin, mainly probably the price being close to $10,000 has definitely been a major issue. And the fact that, it's not expandable. They said that they might just scrap the whole idea of these desktops and go to the iMac desktop and make that the next Mac Pro, because the desktops that are basically all in one, the monitor and the computer are the computer is built into the monitor. Apparently, those have been very successful because they're not that expensive. They don't take that much room up, and they have been a lot more expandable than this new trash bin desktop has ever been. So they decided that maybe we're just going to go in that direction, and that's going to be the next Mac Pro desktop. There will not be the trash bin. That will slowly, gracefully go away, I guess, is what I'm incorporating from this. What they really should do is go back to a conventional, which the PC world is still using, a conventional tower of some sort, because those have never disappeared from the PC world at all. So let me see if I can find... Yeah, there was something in this one article I got from macworld.co.uk that kind of just said it was just a total waste. It has not been as successful. It's been, and they've made a lot of flops. Mac has over the years. I've actually bought some of them just to fool around with them, and then I get rid of them. I even had a friend who I think bought the clamshell at one point just to screw around, the clamshell MacBook. I was actually going to do that. Just to, have some fun with it. You can't use it. It's totally useless. Believe it or not. You can get ones that are completely converted, that it's just a shell, and the whole guts have been torn out and replaced with brand new parts that makes it a working computer or a laptop. The clamshell one was a laptop. I'm not seeing it right now, but check that out if you're interested. Now, this other one does go through the history, this other article, of the history of all the flops Apple has had since day one, which is actually really good because I've owned a couple of these products. It says the 11 worst Apple products, and I apologize because it's going to be like over 2 hours now. Apple products of all time. And some of these are just definitely entertaining because I've seen these. I know somewhat about them, sometimes more than somewhat. So let's see. Apple failures. Let's see if these will open up. These are like a slideshow if I can get it to work. I did, but it's not working now. And it's weird because I was never like that kind of a person that with Apple stuff, I had to own everything. Let me go back previous. Okay, next. There was a next system. Worst Apple products was the Apple III 1980. That was a total flop, apparently. It did not do well. It didn't take off. It was just a flop. The second one was the Apple TV 1993. Again, it was another thing that was just very costly and just a total flop. The next one was worst Apple product was Macintosh Performa X200 Series 1995. Never had taken off. The one after that was called Apple Bandy Pippin 1996. It was BANDAI, and then that's the first word. I should say that was the first word. I don't know exactly what it was. It looks like it was like some type of Apple game console, which never heard of. The second word was PIPPIN. Yep, it did. It says, Apple made a game console, and that's what it was called, which the name I can't pronounce. It said 10,000 units were made, and less than half of them actually sold. I never knew Apple actually made a game console. So that shows you how well that did. That never even made in either one of the two movies made about Jobs. Next product was called Apple products was called the 20th Anniversary Mac. 20th Anniversary Mac 1997. That's funny because people are holding out right now who won't buy the iPhone 7 for the anniversary edition of the iPhone. Well, guess what? Now I'm kind of glad because my phone had major problems, my 6 Plus, which I'm going to sell to a guy at work. Because the place I was supposed to sell it to send it back without even opening the box. So, what happened? I end up basically showing a guy at work, and he says, "I'll buy it off you. I'll give you a couple $100." Like, good, try it out. If you get it to work, give me the money, and it's yours. So, yeah, but after reading this, they had a 20th Anniversary Mac back in 97 that was a total bomb. Never even heard of. It was just called the 20th Anniversary Edition Mac, whatever. It looked like nothing I've ever seen. The next one was the Apple USB mouse, a.k.a. hockey puck. It literally does look like a hockey puck. I think I had one of those mice at one time from Mac when I had my Apple iMac, the one that looked like a TV set. Used to get those hockey puck ones. Literally, again, looks like one. Total failure because it was just a bad layout. Now, this was actually not a total failure, but it did not make it. One I owned was the Apple G4 Cube. That was back in 2000. I actually did own one of those after it kind of, made its run of being popular, but it actually was not popular. It was actually had no fans, and it basically worked on where the hot air would rise and the cold air would kind of go in underneath, and it would just basically cool itself. Never did very well at all. In fact, it did pretty badly, but I thought it was a pretty cool concept. But it just, again, that trash bin that they have out now is no different than the Mac Cube. And I said that the one article I can't find it in actually did mention the same thing. They put it in the same category as the G4 Cube, and that was really pushed heavily too. They really advertised for that. It looked kind of cool. It was kind of cool. It just wasn't very practical, the Cube. The next thing was, because I actually remember they pushed this too from Apple, the next product was the Mighty Mouse. That came out in 2005. That was a total waste. They do not make them anymore, and they were saying, oh, this is going to replace all mice. The Mighty Mouse is the last mouse you're ever going to need to use. Well, guess what? They don't make them anymore. The next thing was, and I owned one of these, was the iPod Shuffle 3rd generation. That came out in 2009. That was a flop from Apple. You will not see any of them anymore because they don't exist. Now, here's one of the most recent ones. Probably no, it's not even the last one. Worst Apple product, 12-inch MacBook 2015. Well, the new MacBook Pros are basically MacBook Airs that are even thinner yet. And they still push those freaking things in the store, But now they're saying in this article that was like the biggest mistake that Apple has ever made, is making something that's like literally paper thin and call it a MacBook Pro, because you can't do anything with it. It's totally useless. Now, this was kind of funny. It's not even a product, but they put it on the worst things. They even stopped these too. Was the Apple retail store bags. Apparently, they said that was also a problem. I guess maybe they're not environmentally friendly or what. We revisited this article, especially to add on the last failure after paying a visit to the Apple retail store and coming away with a wonderful MacBook Pro, but still feeling frustrated. Why? Because of the terrible Apple carrier bag, which I did own one. I was using it for a lunch bag for almost like about a year. I'll use I like to recycle that way. Like bags, I'll save them and I'll use them until they literally just disintegrate or fall apart, and then I throw them in the trash. Or then I will recycle them. So they're even complaining about the Apple bags on this article, the ones you get in the store. Because of that terrible Apple carrier bag that we had to cart our MacBook around in until we made it home, I guess, it was a complete failure. I guess maybe the bag torn. I don't know, but they said they didn't even like the Apple bags that they give you in the store. That's like pushing a little bit, honestly, a little bit too far. But I do agree with most of that stuff they did mention, especially because I have not ever heard of a game console from Apple, which is kind of interesting. I never knew they went that far. But, God, they really did try everything. And, I mean, I guess I won't knock a company, Apple, that's now, surpassed Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Because Wozniak has obviously been out of the picture for years. But then not only that, but Jobs, actually, believe it or not, it's been a couple of years. It's hard to imagine that Steve Jobs has been dead for quite a couple years now. I remember they made a big thing out of it when he first passed away. I will have to look for that, and then I'll end my show at just shy over 2 hours. So let me just look for his thing, which I am now. Yeah, it's been 5 years now since Steve Jobs had passed away. So, yeah, it's really hard to believe. Well, folks, it is Halloween. You don't want to hear my voice all night. I still buy a lot of Apple products, by the way. Won't give up. I was just afraid, and eventually it is going to happen, that it's going to be that day that they're not going to be able to come up with unique ideas from Apple that will work. I mean, there's plenty of people out there, I think, a young generation of people who should be able to make the company work. They hire the right person or persons, but it's just a matter of when and where they find them, because they are out there. It's just a matter of looking for them. So anyway, folks, I'm sorry. I'm really falling asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, which, I've been on for 2 hours, so it's understandable. But I hope you enjoy my show. I hope you have a good Halloween. Just think the end of the year is, coming up very abruptly. We only have, what is it? What is it? The 9th, we have 9 days until we elect a new president. And then we have Thanksgiving, we have Black Friday, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, and it's 2017. So there you go in the nutshell what's going to be happening in the next couple weeks. So thanks again. And hopefully you enjoy what I talk about, even though most of it is just plain nonsense. And I hope you continue to listen to me, because I've actually got people from different countries. I haven't checked lately. I actually got somebody from Iran, which was kind of unique. I didn't expect that. I don't know. One person who accidentally probably stumbled upon my show. Let me just do a quick look. I said I was done. I am done, but so for those who Said, I had enough of this guy. I'm going to turn him off right now. You might probably want to. But I'm going to look at my statistics just in case, which are not spectacular. Okay, United States, understandable. Italy, Peru, Argentina. Okay, I still got the one person hanging in there for at least their thing has not disappeared yet. Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran, Germany, Turkey, Australia, and Morocco. There are the places, other parts that I reached out to. I don't know how, but I did. It kind of surprises me. It's not a very large percentage, but it's just like somebody accidentally stumbled upon iWalter, and they're probably regretting doing so. In the states, it's Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Woodbridge, New Jersey, Menlo Park, California, Lansdowne, PA, Philadelphia, PA, Mountain View, California, Collegeville, PA, Cape May, New Jersey, New York. I've actually got a listener, a part of another one from New York. And it says Federal, Argentina. So that's weird. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed my show again. I am signing off. Happy Halloween to those who are like me and just love it. Sorry for that bouncing my head up and down from the mic. I didn't mean to do that. So have a good, happy Halloween. Don't eat too many sweets. Check them before you eat them, especially apples. And this is Walter signing off for this one festive night. Thanks again for listening.